running a running a commercial business, you have to often look at what you're going to solve with the technology first, rather than just jump into the tech. So today, to give us some boundaries and some guidance, these are the problems that I believe this solution solves. So let's have a look at those. So we can solve workforce attraction, getting people to work in agriculture. Once they get into agriculture, we can train them up. But what about preserving culture? We work a lot with Indigenous cultures and communities, even Indigenous run cattle stations. Well, there's a lot more than just knowledge around how to grow cattle and how to make sure you're running a profitable cattle station. There's the cultural angle to those Indigenous stations. We want to preserve that. You know, a lot of our clients have to travel vast distances to go to class. So we want to reduce the amount of travel. We don't want to lose knowledge of our elders in the Indigenous culture, but also that farmer who's worked for 50 years on a property, who has so much knowledge on how to grow food. What happens when they pass away? Now, we want to be able to assist people to beam back to country. This is a case study that we're currently doing, and I'll showcase this in a minute. But you know, there is the sorry story of a lot of Indigenous culture and people were taken from their land and they haven't been back to their land to visit it. Well, maybe we can do that virtually. We want to prevent disease outbreak. This is a massive one for Australia. We're on an island, and we actually have an incredible position in the marketplace globally for being really healthy, really green, really clean, and disease-free. Well, we want to retain that. And finally, well, we kind of want to innovate education, don't we? I mean, you know, you're all in the room to learn more about how to use AI and VR together. Well, those two go so well together when it comes to innovating education. Right. So I want to start just, you know, sprinkling a bit of ideas here. So first of all, you know, how do we retain knowledge currently? Well, you know, we've got books, haven't we? Of course, libraries. We've got filing cabinets, God forbid, but you know, they probably still exist. Of course, we've got servers and hosts, servers that retain knowledge. But it's the person's brain that I'm really interested in. You know, the Mark Billinghursts of the world have got so much in their brain. How do we get that knowledge out of libraries, servers, filing cabinets, and people's brain? Well, have a look to the right-hand side there of those pictures. We bring it out on a computer. We bring it out in a 2D world. You know, and I'll be honest, I'm just going to turn that camera off there. I'll be honest, that's kind of a little bit boring. What if we could pull that knowledge out using an avatar? Now, this is nothing new. I'm not Robinson Crusoe here, and I get that. We've watched movies where people are talking to bots. Some of you may have been to metaverses. Some of you may have even talked to a 3D avatar. I get that. But when I run a studio like I do at the moment, I have to look at ways to innovate for our clients. I need to see what's next. And I believe that the future of knowledge exchange is going to be the use of an avatar, not of a 2D website. So the journey. We've explored solutions for the last year and a half. I've put on headsets, VR, AR. I've played with chatbots on 2D websites. But, you know, that's one thing. But I'm always a big fan of prototyping. You don't want to do too much because it can actually be quite expensive to get your developers off the tools to develop prototypes in hope that you might sell that prototype to a client. But in this day and age, especially in XR, we need to do a bit of show and tell. when I approach clients like Woolworths, Meat, Livestock Australia, Dairy Australia, AMPC, the Department of Agriculture, they listen, they get excited, but they need to touch things to then understand what I'm trying to explain. So we've been building some prototypes, and I've been showing our clients, hey, Woolworths, what do you think of this concept? And they all love it. So it's hot to trot. So Think.Digital now is going to start exploring ways to bring this into our service offering. And I'm going to lift the hood today and show you what we've done. So, I hope you enjoy the ride. I'm more than happy to suggest that I'm not the tech, maybe the creative, but not the tech. And I'll show you a couple of things, some demos today as well, and then we can have question time. All right, well, here it is. The AI avatar architecture. How do we piece all this together? I don't want to spend more than 30 seconds on this, but all I wanted to explain is we develop in Unity here. What we do is we have an API gateway that allows someone to almost send information to the server as an audio file. It's translated into text. The text is then interrogated and processed. And then we use other APIs like Claude, Chat, GPT to look at that question. And then it gives back a response. We then convert that text-based response into an audio response. And then we pull it back into our, model. And then after that, we then use Unity to, deliver that knowledge back as an audio or as an avatar. The one thing I love about what we're creating here is we started off just using ChatGPT and OpenAI, but the bot or the avatar would just answer questions randomly based on what it knew from other sources. Well, we've been putting some guardrails in place, and we're telling the chatbot or the avatar what to say and what not to say. We've also been feeding the avatar our own PDFs, our own videos, our own text. And so we're not just using an open source knowledge, we're actually now creating our own knowledges and our own avatars. So I want to do some demos. It's all nice and fine to show a few examples, but why don't we get stuck into some of the things that we're currently working? So I presented to one of our clients the idea. We're developing some learning content for them. In fact, we were asked to innovate the learning. And so we are developing some 3D models. We're doing a virtual world. But then I also proposed to them, well, why don't you do a chatbot, in the corner of your learning system? So it's a bit like the old paperclip we had in Windows, where it used to ask some questions, and we've all probably used chatbots on sales websites and so forth. But I wanted to bring that chatbot into the, the learning. So whilst this is not really XR, it's still a WebGL. It's still developed in Unity, but this client's learners, they weren't in VR. They wanted it to be delivered on desktop. So let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Sarah, your feedlot trainer.
Oops.
Hi.
So I'll jump into the actual website, which is here. All right. Can I confirm, Mark, that you can see some silos and
yep,
some
I can see the picture definitely for sure.
Yeah.
Good.
So great, guys. So first of all, this is purely just an interface. We were able to upload some PDFs that the client gave us, and these were training manuals. So if you think about it, imagine reading a training manual. That sort of stuff does my head in, right? So we were able to then take all of the knowledge from the PDF, upload it to the database, let's call it, and then we were able to create an interface. So the learner, if they get stuck in one of the modules, they can literally just ask a question. So this is nothing new to probably a lot of you in the room, But for Think Digital, it was a really big milestone, creating our own knowledge base, interrogating it and building a model on top of it, and then offering it back to our clients to give to their learners. So this one is about foot and mouth disease. That's a really bad disease that if it got out into feedlots in Australia, it would decimate the entire industry and some countries would stop buying our meat. So we're doing a learning exercise where people get to learn how to spot FMD to try and reduce the problem if it was to come out. So I can ask a question, I guess. I don't know what, I should have a better question than this. What is FMD? Now, this particular model has...
Foot-and-mouth disease, FMD, is a highly contagious viral disease that affects cloven-hoofed animals such as cattle, buffalo, deer, and pigs.
So for me, that was a big step for Think Digital to go back to our clients to say, we can build you a knowledge base, we can throw in some ML, we can put an interface in between the learner and the knowledge base, and then they can interrogate it. So that was a great step forward. But 2D, learning, chatbot, we've seen it before. For Think Digital, awesome. Because then I said, now I want to bring that knowledge into a 3D space. So that's the next thing I wanted to show you. So 3D avatars take you from a 2D world, I believe, into a more immersive world. Hence why you're all probably interested in VR and XR. So I had some concepts in mind, you know, a banana could talk to some kids about how the banana is grown. We can use some CGI for that. I also am looking at the teleportation of the HoloLens, of the teleport. I've got some pictures down there, but we're also looking at using 3D avatars within this teleportation system where you can walk up to a life-size, a 3D figure and interact with it with verbal and not only verbal, but UI. We can tap on questions on the screen. But rather than just create an avatar for avatar's sake, I wanted to solve a problem. Well, here's the problem. You know, the Indigenous run cattle stations, they're having trouble attracting young kids to come out and work on them. And there's a lot of people that have worked there for many years that unfortunately are becoming old and unable to work. And as I mentioned, they pass away and we've lost their knowledge forever. So I presented to a group a concept called Learn on Country, and they loved it. This is a picture actually only a few weeks ago in Mount Isa in Queensland, where I put them into a collaborative virtual reality experience around a campfire, and they exchange knowledge in a metaverse. And so hook, line, and sinker, they loved the concept. And so now we're going to be developing a digital version of an Indigenous ranger and an Indigenous cattle station worker that'll live forever. You know, these guys out there on the farm, they're amazing. You know, they're such characters, but they love peer-to-peer learning. They don't want someone like me telling them how to run their station. They want to tell each other. And so one of the things that I'm now doing is going out and collecting the information, filming them. We're getting audio, we're getting photos, and we're collecting all of the knowledge to feed the system. So the problems we're solving for this one, you've seen them before. We're attracting young kids to come and work. We're training them up once they arrive. We're preserving the culture and the native tongue. We're helping to retain the knowledge and help these people return virtually back to their worlds. But ultimately, I left it in the bottom right-hand corner. We can't all be serious. It's good to have a bit of fun along the way. And, you know, watching these guys in headsets the other day was just incredible. All right, well, I'm going to do a quick demo of a 3D avatar having a chat to me today. So, you know, with all demos, you know, it's a little risky, but I'm here to do it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen so you guys can see what I'm looking at. And I'll beam up my headset into the room. So just give me a couple of seconds. I'll just do a cast. Done. All right. So this should pop up now. I'll just go to the large screen for you guys so you can see. And welcome to Think.Digital studio.
That's great, Tim. Looks good.
No worry. No problem. All right. So I'll just show you one thing that I like. So AI Avatar, this is an application that I got to meet the developer. He's based in Germany, and he was pretty incredible. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that you can hear him. So I'm just going to adjust the microphone. Make sure that and where is the... I might take my headphones out. And I will go back in, resume. Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. How can I assist you today?
Well, I wanted to know
If you need anything, just let me know.
what I might do, guys.
I can hear the avatar great, Tim. That's good. But and you as well. That's good.
So you don't hear it 3 times. Guys, let's have a go at this. Do you happen to know Mark Billinghurst?
I'm not familiar with Mark Billinghurst. Can you tell me more about him?
Well, I thought Mark Billinghurst worked at University of SA.
That's interesting. Is there anything else you'd like to share or ask about University of SA or Mark Billinghurst?
Do you know what Mark Billinghurst's material he lectures in?
I'm not sure who Mark Billinghurst is, but feel free to share more details if you'd like.
Can you please tell me what 358 times 17 plus 12 plus 4 is?
The result of 358 times 17 plus 12 plus 4 is 6,086. Let me know if you need help with anything else.
So as you can see, guys, we can ask the avatar any question. And sorry, Mark, I'm not sure why she didn't know who you were. I thought you were quite famous.
That's okay. No, it's fine.
Has anyone got a question that they would like me to ask the avatar?
Could you ask what the top 5 exports from Australia are? I'm not sure if the avatar will know that or not.
You there, Mark?
Yeah. Could you ask what the top 5 exports from Australia are?
Can do. What are the 5 top exports in Australia? I've got a video playing. It's killing me.
Yeah.
Oh. Okay, here we go again. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, just ask it. What are the top 5 exports from Australia? We'll see if she gets that right.
What are the top 5 exports in Australia?
To continue or provide more details so I can assist you better.
What are the top 5 exports in Australia?
The top 5 exports in Australia are iron ore, coal, natural gas, education services, and gold. If you need more details or have any other questions, feel free to ask.
Great. And you could ask it, what is the biggest company in Australia by market capitalization?
So guys, that's what I am really, really interested in. Concept of being able to interrogate a database and then interact with it with an avatar. So we had a bit of a go at building this ourselves. And so now I'm going to show you a little bit of a demo of our prototype. It's a little bit different, but what I love is that we're able to achieve the same thing. It's always good to look outside of what's happening and then see if you can do it yourself. So I'm going to switch now to one of our demos. All right. Maybe this one.
This one, no, not building nest.
Oh, this
No,
uses
this uses hand track. It's a little bit different. There we go.
And what
And what I do here
is
I just come down like a walkie.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How can I assist you today?
Do
Do you happen to know Mark Billinghurst?
Oh, it does.
Yes, Mark Billinghurst is a prominent figure in the fields of augmented reality, AR, and human-computer interaction, HCI. He has contributed to research and developments in AR technologies, particularly in creating immersive experiences and applications. If you have specific questions about his work or contributions, feel free to ask.
That's great.
So Mark, I'm just going to finish up now and talk about the next steps. So we're going to execute that 2D avatar into some training over the next 4 weeks. And we're going to start to see if the market likes it. We're going to learn what the questions the people are asking the avatar. And we're going to continue to develop that 2D interface. We're going to secure the 3D avatar project. We just pitched it last week, and that's the Indigenous run cattle stations. And they love the concept, and we're looking at securing that, and that'll be a 3-year project. So I can't wait to show you where we go with that. We're going to document it. We're going to draw it. We're going to share it. We're all about collaboration here at Think.Digital. So feel free to reach out if you're interested in something similar, or if you've actually gone further than we have. We'd love to get to know you guys. And we're just going to keep exploring. Even last week, I was asked by a museum about the Chinese immigrants that came out and their influence on agriculture. And I talked to them about developing out a 3D avatar of a Chinese immigrant back in the 1800s coming out and farming here in Australia. So there's some really good things on the horizon, and Think.Digital is really excited. And I hope you got a little bit out of that presentation and demos today. So thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Tim. Let's give Tim those ideas. So we've got some time for questions. We've got a few more people who've joined since you started, Tim. We've got about 30 online now and about 20 in the room, or 15 to 20 in the room. So does anybody in the room have any questions for Tim? You kind of got a question? You're waving your hand like that?
Trying to work out how to phrase it.
Okay.
So you mentioned that you want to create a virtual reality experience with indigenous farmers.
Yep, that's correct.
So I just wonder how you feel about the ethics of that, because for indigenous people, they have a thing where they should not be talked about after their death, and like they believe any video or talking of their name disturbs their spirits. So will there be any warning for indigenous people that, like, once they've passed, will there be a warning added on to it for indigenous people using your stuff, or how would that work? Just because I know it's important to them.
Yeah, it's a great concept that you've raised. Look, ethically, yeah, of course, we will put some cultural barriers around it to ensure that we're not offending anyone. Ironically, though, when I presented the concept to them, that wasn't raised. So isn't it interesting? Yeah, look, that was only last week that we presented that. So I'm sure that will get raised as we start to architect the design together. But I always say that, it could be fictitious. This Indigenous elder could, be a make-believe person that, whilst they might have the look and feel of a real person, they're probably not a real person. They're just a knowledge keeper, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah. And there's a question online from Nisha saying, great presentation and demos, Tim. The avatars and 3D models in your slides and demos are really super cool. Wondering which tool you use to create these.
Yeah, look, quite a few I've explored. In fact, I didn't show you one of the other ones. The Ready Player Me was one of the avatar programs that we used to create our demo that happened to know you, Mark. The AI avatar one, they've gone up, down, round and around, and the avatars changed quite a lot. So I don't actually know which one that one is, that lady with the black hair. So I can't answer that particular question around that. But I have explored half a dozen different avatar creator tools. So you're welcome to reach out to me and I can ping you those addresses, because I've done all the scanning, the 3D scanning of myself and tried them all out. Some of them look very realistic. One of the applications we used was a mobile app where you took a photo of your face and you scanned it, like when you set up your FaceTime for your iPhone. So yeah, they're getting real. They're getting very realistic.
So what was it that you liked about Ready Player Me? Is it because it's really easy to integrate into VR or Unity, or what other aspects made you use that one rather than another platform for the visual content?
Yeah, well, the easy part of that was in the developer portal of Ready Player One, Ready Player Me, I think it is.
Yeah, Ready Player Me, yeah.
Yeah, it's able to create you the link to the model. So you just literally copy and paste that particular URL and whack it into Unity, and hence you've got your avatar ready out of the bag.
Mm.
And also we had a play where you could choose different avatars. So in Ready Player Me, I was able to create 3 or 4 different avatars, and then I was able to feed them into the system. So based on maybe a menu system at the start, you could choose male or female, or a farmer or a kid. So Ready Player Me just seems to work out of the box.
That's great. And then I had another question that's related, and then there's some more online. But of course, the avatar is one aspect, but then there's also the knowledge base itself. It sounds like you're training it on knowledge as you go. Is that when you run those avatars? Is that knowledge base hosted on a server remotely, or is it hosted on a local machine that you're training on, or are you using connecting up to ChatGPT or some other overseas server to run the AI engine?
We're running it on an AWS server, Mark.
Right.
So yep, we just run it on an AWS server, and it uses Claude
Right.
to add some context sort of to the answer. But I believe yesterday the guys were telling me that, let me just have a look at that slide because I want to get my wording right. I think they called it chunks from memory. And so what they've done is they've built out on our server, you upload the knowledge, let's just say it's a PDF. It looks at the PDF and then it creates knowledge chunks. Then when the question is asked, it converts it into text. The text then goes up to the server and then it looks for different chunks of knowledge that address the question. Then Claude actually pulls it all together and makes it sound half, conversational, pumps back that text response, and then 11 labs is what converts it to voice. And then we pull 11 labs into Unity, and then we haven't done lip syncing yet, but essentially it pulls it into Unity and the avatar talks.
That's great. Yeah, the voice of your avatar was much better than the other AI avatar. I thought it was very nice. There's a couple more questions online here. One says from Karen, she'd like to hear more about your training process for the bots.
Yeah, look, I would have loved my AI architect to be here today, but he's not. He would have been able to answer that a lot better than I have. What I can tell you is this. I can feed him PDFs. I can feed him audio and not yet video, but that's where I'm heading. And I can then, he then sends that up. I think he uses Python to do it. And I don't want to fumble my way through, but essentially he, I mean, this interface here, guys, I'll just bring it up on the screen because I'll just show you, where are we? This one here. Here we go. Share again, and this one. So there's an admin and there's a learner kind of look. This is the learner, but the admin one allows me to upload PDFs here. But you know where I got a really good run on this? If you guys haven't explored Google LM yet, you need to. This is incredibly powerful. And, this is where I get a lot of my ideas from. You can come into Google LM, you can upload PDFs, you can give it YouTube videos, you can upload Word documents and things. And then it builds the knowledge base, and then you can ask it any question you want. So this is, some of you might have used this, but if you haven't, I'll just give a quick demo. What is the difference between score of 4, I guess I'll ask it, and 5 in sheep, to just let you know, animals have a score from 1 to 5, and based on what they look like, how much they weigh, how healthy they are, they get a 4, a 1 or a 5. 5 is really good. Let's have a look. And so then this just gives back the answers. So we're using something similar to this. I don't have a UI as good as this yet, but my goal is to be able to have a UI that my clients have, and they can just upload the PDFs themselves. I don't want to be doing that, but at the moment we're hard coding it and then uploading it ourselves.
So by uploading the PDFs and other content through your portal, then does that mean that you can customize the knowledge base of the agent? So now you've got an agent that's potentially an expert on agricultural systems or foot and mouth or whatever else you fed it. Yeah,
and we also give it guardrails. So if it is a question that it doesn't know the answer to, it says, I'm not privy to answer that question. But I was asked the other day, would you like it to go outside of our knowledge and potentially find the answer if it doesn't know the answer based on our knowledge? And I was asked, how much percentage would I like to apply? So what the guys have now done is that they can bring in 20% of ChatGPT or Claude to help answer the question if we haven't educated that knowledge base enough. So you just have to be careful, and I'll tell you why. I put my 11-year-old daughter in this exact experience to see what she thought. And the first question she asked the avatar was how babies were made. And, you know, and suddenly I realized that my clients aren't going to want an avatar that's going to just be free fall.
That's great. You got a question in the room here?
Yeah, just wondering how else you might be using AI in the general production process. So any sort of AR, VR projects beyond the AI with integration elements?
Yep. Happy to talk really quickly. Obviously, I've got only so long to talk about it, but probably one of my favorite uses of AI that's actually solving a problem is this one. So this is a application that we've brought to market, and it's called Remote Vet. We were featured on Landline only recently. It's designed that it takes a photo of a disease on an animal, and then it processes the photo, and then it identifies what that potential disease could be. So we're using this in a mobile application for producers who find an animal that potentially has a disease. And we're putting it in fixed cameras as well. So it exports and at feedlots, where it takes photos and uses, machine learning to look at the diseases. And this is designed for early detection or helping someone who doesn't understand what a disease could look like. And we're focused down on those exotic diseases that could cripple the industry. So things like FMD, foot and mouth, and LSD, lumpy skin disease. These are over in Indonesia, but there's really, unfortunately, that if they get over they come over by airborne, or they come through meat getting taken in through customs. If this comes into Australia, we're gone. So yeah, I would say, in answer to your question, Remote Vet is a good use of AI in agriculture, is one of our products.
So there's a few more questions online. One from Ishita says, actually, Ishita, do you want to ask your question? You can turn your microphone on, and maybe you can frame it better than I can, but...
Yeah, thank you so much, Tim, for the wonderful presentation. It's really insightful seeing your unique background in the space and trying to bring XR VR to agriculture, which is something that I haven't heard before. And there are several use cases, but I was wondering, since you were in this, very traditional industry, and convincing people from like different walks of life, it's difficult, especially when it comes to agriculture, where the education and specialization of individuals varies drastically. So how do you kind of position immersive tech as a must-have rather than nice to have? Because I know getting funding and securing grants for this work requires a lot of people and system management rather than just tech focus, as you mentioned.
It's a good question and an observation. However, it's been our secret weapon that we have focused down on a niche. And I would say, if you are considering starting up your own business in XR, well, it's a really good approach. Become really good at one particular vertical. I actually had a business before this that I sold, and look, it developed websites, nothing new, nothing special, but we had over 1,000 clients and 1,000 websites when I sold. And we just did websites for anybody. And that was fine, but I was probably more interested in the tech then, let's do a website and market. So I'm going to answer the question in two parts. Firstly, agriculture is actually more ahead of technology than people think. So ag tech has really reshaped the way people use data and use technology on farm to grow more food. So there has been a shift. We're not all, shits and gumboots and, driving old tractors anymore. So maybe reshape the way you look at ag, because it has evolved. Second, well, if I approach not the farmer, but the people that actually support the farmers, then they're my clients, not the farmer. The farmer doesn't buy our technology. It's the people that are selling or supporting farmers that are my clients. An example of that would be something like, for every cow or sheep or goat that's put into a processor, the farmer has to pay a levy And that levy is put into a fund. And that fund is then used to innovate the industry or to market the industry. You might have seen, advertisements online, buy Australian land. This is all done by marketing bodies that represent the farmer. Well, that marketing body is called MLA, and MLA, they're actually paid by the farmer to innovate the industry, and they innovate the industry for training, marketing, government policy, and they represent the farmer. So I actually work with them. So they're a lot easier to convince than the farmer. So maybe think about, if you want to work with a vertical, it might not be the actual end person that's your client. It's the body that represents them, or it's the government that represents them that could be your client.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thanks. There's another question online. We're just about out of time, actually, but we'll ask a couple more. One person mentioned, Wang says, thank you for the presentation. Is there any special link between agriculture as an industry and 3D personified knowledge base that makes you deploy the avatar in this agricultural context? So why are you putting an avatar out into the agricultural context?
Well, the original idea, Wang, came from, we do activations at agricultural shows where people from the city go along and they learn how food is grown, or they get a show bag or go on a ride. A lot of these people have never been to farms. And farmers, they go to these shows. Some of them get paid and some of it's voluntary. But when we put on our activation, it's normally virtual reality, and we put people on our bus. And I had the idea that there would be a farmer out the front of the bus, an avatar, a 3D avatar that would talk to the people about how food is grown. So not replacing the real farmer, but in a way replacing them, because the farmers have to give up 2 weeks to come into the show, and it's a big ordeal. And plus they get a bit tired, and plus, sometimes they don't know all the answers. So I saw a 3D avatar talking to the kids, explaining how carrots were grown. And that's when the idea came to life. And from there, it's just going, as I speak to different clients, I find different opportunities to create these digital twins, or these knowledge keepers. So I would say one day you'll go to the Adelaide show and there will be a hologram of a carrot or a carrot farmer talking to the kids and helping them.
That's great. And then one last question from Ruchi. She says, I'm also curious, would Indigenous people be involved in the curation of the information? How has their voice and perspective been represented in the final presentation?
Yeah, so Rishi, we are only weeks into a 3 or 4 year project, it's looking like. I can tell you this. First of all, I've not just arrived and made this up on the spot. Over the last few years, I've been working with Indigenous communities. One of the amazing programs that I worked on was capturing the native tongue. And so we had the English and then the native. And I had an Indigenous elder tell me what the translation of English words were into native tongue. I've often thought, I had 300 sound bites, how I could bring those sound bites into the avatar so it could actually speak native tongue. Wouldn't that be amazing? Second, I've actually given some of them cameras. So they're actually out there filming with 360 cameras right now. So we're going to be capturing, I guess, their learning from that. And finally, they know more than me. I can capture the knowledge. I can make the Indigenous 3D avatar walk and talk. But I don't want it to be my story. I want it to be theirs. So I can just tell you, hand on heart, that they will be the content creators and we'll just be the curators.
That's great. Thanks, Tim. Does anybody else have any last questions in the room here? No? Anybody else online? We're just about out of time, but great. Well, let's
Thank you
thank
very
Tim again.
much.
That was great. Thank you so much.
It's a shame you didn't push.
I'll be in touch over email. I'll be great to get a copy of the slides. And also, if you want to send the links to some of the demos you showed, I can post that to the Discord channel here, and people can try out some of the ones that are publicly available on the web. I'm sure people like to try and interact with the avatars themselves.
Yeah, I'm comfortable for people to connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So
Right.
I'll just put my LinkedIn in the chat room for you before I
Perfect.
go. And
Thanks.
happy, always looking for people to work with. And if you've got some ideas, you can run them by me. Thank you very
Thanks
much,
so much,
everyone.
Tim. That was a really great presentation. Really good to see applied AI in action. So